At 5:30 starts now.
Thanks for joining us at 5:30. I'm Ike Ben David.
And I'm Darren Perrin. For the first time, two of Canada's major railroad companies have shut down at the same time. However, we just learned that the Canadian government ordered the rail lines to enter arbitration and get back on the tracks.
Our Plattsburgh Bureau Chief Alec Lasham tells us how it's already affecting the North Country.
Labor disputes in Canada have boiled over into a massive rail shutdown. For businesses in Plattsburgh, like this one here behind me, a lasting stoppage could spell trouble.
The big hope is they come to an agreement and they are back to work tomorrow.
Tanner Bearby is the co-owner of South Junction Enterprises in Plattsburgh, a logistics company he says handled more than 770 rail cars just last year.
We use conveyors to unload those bulk commodities into tractor trailers, and then they're delivered. That's called the final mile.
He says his business is one that could feel the impacts of Canadian National Rail and Canadian Pacific Kansas City shutdown for freight heading to or from Canada.
This is unprecedented.
Gary Douglas with the North Country Chamber of Commerce says in Montreal alone, roughly 30% of cargo makes its way to the United States, 50% of which he says is delivered through rail.
Some of our companies use rail to bring supplies in for their manufacturing operations. One of those is Schluter Systems here in Plattsburgh, which some of its sand and cement materials come from the north as opposed to coming from the south.
In addition to product holdups, Douglas says North Country leaders are also worried the shutdown may sabotage the return of Amtrak's Adirondack line. The passenger train service has been off the rails for months as workers with CN Rail have continued renovations to a stretch of tracks in Canada. He says Amtrak has plans to bring the line back on track in early September, and that Congresswoman Elise Stefanik has been in contact with both rail companies.
They're looking for some further reassurance just to be on the safe side from Amtrak, which they haven't yet obtained. But CN has been very reassuring to them that the necessary track work is on schedule, and they see nothing that should interrupt service through the end of this year or again next year.
And on Thursday, a spokesperson from Amtrak says they are in contact with their partners regarding any potential impacts from the shutdown. However, Douglas says he hopes the labor disputes in Canada will not last long.
Work it out, whatever the method is, if it's some kind of order to return to work, mandatory binding arbitration, whatever it takes, don't let this play out more than a few days.
And for Bearby, he says anything more than a few days could mean significant challenges down the line.
We're prepared to, be able to sustain for about a week, but other than that, we hope they come to an agreement.
Reporting in Plattsburgh, Alec Lasham.